Hallo und willkommen zu Thema 5, über Herkunft und Wohnort sprechen. Welcome to topic 5. In this topic, you'll learn to talk about where you're from and where you live now. For this, we'll first look at some typical questions people might ask you to learn more about where you're from, and I will also offer you some options what you can reply. We will also explore some German names for continents, countries, and cities. You will also learn to describe the location of a country or city with geographical directions. As always, in the second half of the video, we will dive deeper into some grammar topics that you'll need to understand in order to be able to use the language from this topic a bit more flexibly. Okay, los geht's. In the last lessons, you learned to introduce yourself and ask people for their names. What often follows in these exchanges is that people will ask each other where they are from. Let's look at how to navigate such a conversation. Meet Marita and Alex. They've only just met each other. Read and listen to what they say. Pause the video if you need more time to read. Hallo, ich bin Alex. Und wer bist du? Hi, ich bin Marita. Woher kommst du, Alex? Ich komme aus Zürich. Zürich? Wo ist das? Das ist in der Schweiz. Read the dialogue again. I'm sure you can figure out what the phrases in bold mean, especially if I tell you that Schweiz is the German name for Switzerland and Zürich is a city in Switzerland. Let's look at the language you need to navigate such a dialogue. Let's start at a very high level with the German names for the continents, Kontinente. Read through the list on the left and try to match them with the correct parts of the world map. Pause the video if you need more time. I'll also read the names of the continents to you. Afrika, Asien, Europa, Südamerika, Nordamerika, Ozeanien, Australien. Okay, here's what it should look like. Pause the video again and try to read them out loud, then compare with my pronunciation. Nordamerika, Südamerika, Europa, Afrika, Asien, Ozeanien, Australien. You will also need to know the German names of the countries you want to talk about, because some country names are the same or quite similar to other languages, for example English, but not all of them. Look at this section of a German language map of Central Europe, for example. Some country names you might recognize immediately, such as Denmark, Italien, Spanien, because they're very similar to English, Denmark, Italy, Spain. But can you locate the following countries? Germany, Switzerland, Austria, France, the United Kingdom. Pause the video now if you need more time to locate these countries on the map. Germany is Deutschland. Switzerland is Schweiz. Austria is Österreich. France ist Frankreich. United Kingdom is Vereinigtes Königreich. If you want to explore the map of Europe with German country names further, download the PDF file of this presentation and click on this hyperlink in the map and you can have a look at it. Now, in your part of the world, you will also be able to easily recognize most German names for the countries, but note the difference in spelling. Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Zambia, Tanzania, Südafrika. Again, if you want to have a closer look at the names of the countries, go to this link. Let's head back to Europe and the 3 countries where German is the main or one of the main languages, starting with Switzerland. Do you remember the name for this country? That's right, Schweiz. Note that there are few countries that often get an article in German, such as here, Städte in der Schweiz, cities in Switzerland. Der is an article. Don't worry about this too much now. We'll talk about articles in depth at a later stage, but just so you're aware of why there's, for some countries, there's a word that comes before it and not for others. That's just an exception that applies to a handful of countries. Let's look at some larger cities here in Schweiz. I read the names to you and you try to locate them on the map. Zürich, Luzern, Bern, Genf. Zürich, Luzern, Bern, Genf. Rewind the video now and repeat after me to practice the pronunciation. This is a map of Germany. Do you remember the German name for the country, Germany? Deutschland, that's right. Let's look at some larger cities here. Again, I'll read the names to you and you try to locate them on the map. Let's go. Hamburg, Berlin, Köln, Frankfurt am Main, München. Again, rewind the video and repeat after me to practice the pronunciation. Hamburg, Berlin, Köln, Frankfurt am Main, München. And now to Austria, which is what in German? Österreich. That's right. Let's look at some larger cities here. I read the names to you. You try to locate them on the map. Wien, Linz, Salzburg, Graz, Innsbruck. Wien, Salzburg, Graz, Innsbruck. Rewind the video and repeat after me if you want to practice the pronunciation. Consider which other countries and cities might be important for you to know in the German name of, and look them up. You can use an online dictionary for that, such as Collins, or you can go to Google Maps and change the language in the settings to German, Deutsch, and then explore the map. Or you could simply Google what is country in German, and that will usually give you an answer as well. Let's go back to Marita and Alex. Now, Marita is talking about where she's from. Pause the video now to read the dialogue out loud. Then start the video again and compare with my pronunciation. Und woher kommst du, Marita? Ich komme aus Pretoria. Das ist in Südafrika. Und wo genau ist Pretoria? Pretoria ist im Nordosten von Südafrika. Now, Alex wants to know exactly where Pretoria is. Und wo genau ist Pretoria? Marita gives him a location. Pretoria ist im Nordosten von Südafrika. Can you figure out what Marita is saying? Let's look at this a bit more closely. Oftentimes, when you say where you're from, people will ask you, where exactly is that? Wo genau ist das? Oder wo ist das genau? Genau, exactly. You can describe the location of a country in relation to other places, like continents or countries. Let's look at geographic directions in German. Read and repeat after me. Im Norden von, im Osten von, im Süden von, im Westen von. So that is in the north, east, south, and west of. You can be even more precise if you want to. Im Nordosten von, im Südosten von, im Südwesten von, im Nordwesten von. So that's the northeast, the southeast, the southwest, and the northwest of. Note the slight difference between im Norden von and im Nordosten von. The first word loses the en ending when you combine the two words. Rewind the video now to practice your pronunciation. This will also be much easier with some examples. Here's a map of Germany. Try to locate the two cities. Berlin ist im Osten von Deutschland. Berlin ist im Osten von Deutschland. München ist im Südwesten von Deutschland. München ist im Südwesten von Deutschland. Two more examples. Again, try to locate the cities on the map. Genf ist im Südwesten von der Schweiz. Genf ist im Südwesten von der Schweiz. Zürich ist im Norden von der Schweiz. Zürich ist im Norden von der Schweiz. It's your turn. How can you describe in German the location of Harare and Bulawayo? Pause the video now if you need more time to think. Harare ist im Nordosten von Simbabwe. Bulawayo ist im Südwesten von Simbabwe. Now, meet Anna, George, and Chris. So what about if you've moved away from the place you're from? Let's look at what George says about where he's from. Ich komme aus New York, aber ich studiere jetzt in Berlin. We've got a new verb here, studieren. George studies in Berlin. Can you figure out from context what the words aber and jetzt might mean? George says that he's from New York, aber he studies in Berlin now. Jetzt. Aber means but. Jetzt means now. Let's look at what Chris and Anna say about where they're from. Pause the video now to read what they're saying. Can you figure out what it means? Now, listen and repeat after me. Ich komme aus Spanien, aber ich lebe jetzt in Deutschland. Ich komme aus Österreich, aber ich wohne jetzt in der Schweiz. We've got two new verbs here, wohnen and leben. They're basically synonyms, that is, they mean the same thing, to live or to reside, and they can be used interchangeably. Now, George wants to know more about the places Anna and Chris are from. Do you remember what he can say to ask, where exactly are you from? Woher kommt ihr genau? George can ask, woher kommt ihr genau? Anna says, meine Stadt heißt Granada. Das ist im Süden von Spanien. And Chris says, mein Dorf heißt Söll. Das ist im Norden von Österreich. Can you guess what meine Stadt and mein Dorf might mean? Stadt is a city or a town. There's no difference in German. It's a city or a town. Stadt. Dorf is smaller. It's a village. Dorf. Meine is my. Note how the endings of mein changes depending on what noun it refers to. Mein, meine, mein Dorf, meine Stadt. Again, don't worry about this too much for now. We'll look into this later on in this course. But just so you're aware that words often change endings in German. You might also want to specify where it is that you live and where it is that you work, like in this brief dialogue. Woher kommen Sie, Herr Bisch? Ich wohne in Luzern, aber ich arbeite in Zürich. Can you figure out what the German word for to work is? That's right, arbeiten. Ich arbeite in Zürich. Arbeiten. Okay, that was quite a lot, but let's recap and also look at all of these phrases a bit more closely. Woher kommst du? Repeat after me. Woher kommst du? From what you've learned in the past lessons, can you guess what you need to ask if you want to ask more than one person in an informal situation where they're from? Have a guess. Woher kommt ihr? Woher kommt ihr? Woher kommen Sie? Woher kommen Sie? Remember that du, ihr, and sie all mean you, but they're used depending on whether it's a formal or informal situation, whether it's singular or plural. And then the verb ending also needs to match the person it's referring to. Woher kommen Sie? Ich komme aus at your home country or city. Ich komme aus Deutschland. Again, if you're answering for yourself and one or more other people, so as part of a group, you'd have to say, wir kommen aus. Wir kommen aus. Wo ist das? Wo ist das? Und wo ist das genau? Und wo genau ist das? The genau can go in several places. Und wo genau ist das? Und wo ist das genau? Das ist in, now at your own country. Das ist in Deutschland. Das ist in Deutschland. Ich komme aus, aber ich lebe jetzt in, for me, that would be, ich komme aus Deutschland, aber ich lebe jetzt in Australien. I'm from Germany, but I live in Australia now. Ich wohne in, now at your own village, town or city. Ich wohne in, ich studiere in, ich studiere in. Meine Stadt heißt, at your own town or city. Meine Stadt heißt, or if you live in a village, mein Dorf heißt, at your own village. Mein Dorf heißt. We've encountered many new verbs in this video. Let's quickly look at what you know about verb conjugation so far. So you know that verbs change their endings depending on what person or thing they refer to. For example, ich habe, du hast, sie haben, etc. The endings are generally the same for all verbs, but of course there are a couple of exceptions. Note the outlier here in this slide. The basic form of to have is haben, and the verb should change after the letter B. Yeah, the last two letters en, they change depending on what person they refer to. And it does that. Ich habe, apart from du hast, that's an outlier. There's no B there, even there should be. There's no reason for it. It's an exception. It's just the way it is. Yeah, it's an exception. You simply try to remember. You have to try to remember. Yeah. Let's look at the new verbs from this lesson. We've got kommen aus, to come from, wohnen in and leben in, to live in, Studieren, to study, and arbeiten, to work. In terms of conjugation, so the verb endings, they stick to the same rules as haben and heißen, except for the forms of do. For do, the verb stem gains an st ending. This is actually the regular conjugation that most verbs adhere to, and haben and heißen are actually the exceptions. Let's read through the conjugations. Listen first and then read out loud yourself. Ich komme, du kommst, sie kommen, wir kommen, ihr kommt, sie kommen. Ich wohne, du wohnst, sie wohnen, wir wohnen, ihr wohnt, sie wohnen. Ich lebe, du lebst, sie leben, wir leben, ihr lebt, sie leben. Ich studiere, du studierst, sie studieren, wir studieren, ihr studiert, sie studieren. Ich arbeite, du arbeitest, sie arbeiten, wir arbeiten, ihr arbeitet, sie arbeiten. What do you notice for arbeiten? That's right, it doesn't quite stick to the pattern. There are two exceptions here as well. For du and ihr, there's an additional e in there. And that's mainly for phonetic reasons. So phonetic means how it sounds and how you can say it. Because it's difficult to say arbeit, yeah, that's too many letters together. So you'd add an e, yeah, so you can actually say it. Du arbeitest. And the same for ihr. Yeah, it would be very difficult to say ihr arbeitet. Yeah. So add an e. Ihr arbeitet. Again, these are just exceptions that you have to try and remember. You also learned two conjunctions in this video. Conjunctions are words that connect sentences, connecting words. Let's read the two examples. Ich komme aus Berlin, aber ich lebe jetzt in Hamburg. Aber meaning but. Ich komme aus Basel und Markus kommt aus Wien. Und meaning and. Stop the video now and practice your pronunciation. You also learned quite a couple of prepositions. Prepositions are usually small words that say something about direction, location, or time. Prepositions are typically followed by an object. Let's read through these sample sentences. I'm sure you'll be able to understand what the prepositions mean. Ich komme aus Bulawayo, aber ich lebe jetzt in Harare. Das ist in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe ist im Südwesten von Afrika. Note that in and im are actually the same word. They both mean in. It's just a different ending for the im. Yeah, that depends again on what the preposition refers to. You see a pattern here, it happens a lot in German. That words just change slightly but still mean the same. Gut gemacht. Well done. That's it for topic 5. If you want, rewatch the video now or continue with the lesson in Moodle for some practice activities and come back to this video later for revision and pronunciation practice.